Hey, what's up everyone? It's Kitty Clinical's channel here with another video. I am here to talk about the moment I failed step one, because I think that's very important to talk about, and it's not something that a lot of people really enjoy or relish talking about on social media. Nobody ever mentions that they failed. They only talk about their successes. So this channel is looking to kind of look on the other side of the fence, you know. I'm a practicing licensed fully boarded physician, and I got here not through the easy route of getting, passing all my exams and doing well on everything. I struggled. I really did. And one of my struggles was failing step one. That was the first real hindrance in my life that really caused me to just go into a bout of sadness, to take a year off, and honestly almost risk just failing out of medical school and just quitting medical school, quitting the whole doctor route, And I think a lot of people who are doctors, you might ask some of them and they might not admit it, but I think a lot of people contemplated quitting in medical school. Maybe not so much in residency, but I'm sure like a lot of people have thought about quitting because it is very difficult. So when I failed, it was 2016. I was finishing up my second year of medical school. I was actually a Caribbean medical student. I went to school in the Caribbean, and I didn't get into a U.S. school. I tried. I actually got really close to doing that, but I ended up considering other options, and then I got accepted to a Caribbean school, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take it because I could wait another year and apply, or I could go do something else, or I could just go into medical school right then and there. So I decided to go the route of just going to a Caribbean school. Did well on my, did not, maybe not did well, but did okay on my exams. I was by far not the top student. I was not getting A's on my classes. I was getting low B's, getting maybe a C here and there. I don't know what the threshold for passing was, but there was definitely classes like pathology that I was just like very borderline going to fail. But I never actually took a semester off. I never actually decelerated. I ended up just finishing up my 2 years regularly, and I followed the advice of everyone, just studying for step one, doing all the right things, following the advice of people who've gone through the process, watching YouTube videos like how you're doing right now. And I was really sick. I got really, really sick. I had a really bad cold. I was coughing even like months after I took the test. I was coughing up until like, I want to say November. I got a really bad viral infection, and I actually had to see my ear, nose, throat because of how bad it was, and I should have taken off when I was going to take the test. I should have postponed it because of how sick I was, but I decided not to because I figured, you know what, it's fine. I already studied. I know how to do this. I've passed all my exams. There's no way I'm going to fail. That's the mindset that I was going through. That I was rushing. I was trying to graduate within the 4 years or whatever time period I was trying to get through. Because you think to yourself, you got to get through this fast, because the faster you become a doctor, the more years of being a doctor you get to be. And I guess, I don't know what the mindset is really, because everybody wants to be accelerated and finish really quickly. But the reality of the situation is it doesn't really matter, right? Because what matters is you taking the time to be your best self, to study, to finish, to finish safely, to do things the right way. And by me being sick, I made the mistake of taking the test very, very sick, thinking that I was going to pass, not being in the best state of health. And I'm not here to make excuses. I'm not here to try to justify my failure. I failed, and it was entirely my fault. I failed because I was, I mean, I wasn't just sick. I definitely had knowledge gaps too, I would imagine, because, when you take the test, you might not know that much more the second time you take it, but you're in a better state of mind, and you're able to apply your knowledge a lot better when you take more practice questions, when you do more studying. So when I failed, I was devastated. I sought help. I talked to professionals to see if I can get, the right kind of mindset and to make me feel better, because I was very sad. You know, your emotional and your mental health is of great importance at a time like that, because and they even say that on, like, I think the books, the study aids, first aid, whatever, they tell you seek help if you failed. Talk to a therapist, talk to a psychiatrist, find someone out there who will talk to you and help you get through this tough time, because it is a tough time. You are at a stage where, there are people who do end up struggling, and they don't just quit, but but things can take a very negative turn, and you really don't want any of that. You want to do things right, get the right help, focus on your own health and your own well-being. That's my number one advice to you if you failed. That's what I did, and then I take some time off. Honestly, take a few weeks, take a month, take 2 months. Go take a break. Go travel somewhere and try to find yourself. Find yourself. Relax. Breathe. Try to breathe and try to relax, because if you failed, you went through a very traumatic moment. And honestly, trauma is a very, very serious thing that people don't really talk about on YouTube, but it is a very important thing to consider, is going through a tough situation. Acute stress disorder is a real thing. It is. And adjustment disorder, these are all real diseases, real syndromes that need to be overcome at a time like this. So that being said, what did I do? I took a month, 2 months, 3 months off, staying home, living with my mom, playing video games, just kind of finding myself. I actually had a YouTube channel before I failed, and that YouTube channel took off. It did. And I got a lot of views on some of my videos. I had one video that hit 3 million views. Okay, it went almost kind of viral, honestly, and I was really happy about that, and I was going to make more videos about my success. And then I failed. And then after I failed, I didn't want to make any more videos. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to sit and just feel despair. I felt a lot of despair, and I had to make sacrifices. I hung out with friends. I lost friends because of how much I studied. People want to hang out with you. They want to play with you. You're in your early 20s and people are out partying, but you can't do that. You have to study. You have to make time for yourself and your own well-being, because you're going to be studying a lot. And the second time you take the test, or the third time, or the fourth time, you're going to be studying even more and more and more. It's rough, but it's the truth. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to necessarily be fun. You might not even enjoy it. And you know what? At some point during your studying, you will take a practice test, and you will fail that practice test. And then you're going to wonder, is it even worth it? I studied so hard. I studied my ass off for weeks. I took a practice test, and my score was even lower than it was before. I didn't improve at all. And then you might be wondering to yourself, is it even worth it? And you're not improving, nothing is happening. So what do you do at that point? Well, I went out and I took a course. There's a bunch of courses out there. There's Kaplan, there's a bunch of other places out there that are prepping you, test prep places, summer camp, as they say, to just study and go to lecture. And, I went to this program called the PASS program, which was what I used personally, and they helped me get through my exams. And there's a lot of test prep courses out there, and they're very good. They're very, very efficient, and they're expensive. But if you can afford to go to a course, then it might be worth it, because if what you're doing by yourself is not working, and you're studying on your own, and your studying on your own is not making you improve your test scores, then you got to do something else. Do you know the definition of insanity? It is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. If you've been studying for weeks and you are not improving, then you have to consider doing something different, right? And so what I did differently was I went and got a tutor. I went and bought more test prep material, listened to different lectures, read different books. First aid is great. There's a lot of books that are similar to first aid that maybe you will retain the information better when you read them. So I took, I think, almost an entire year, actually, until I got an email from my school saying you have to take the exam by a certain point. Otherwise, we're not going to let you stay as a student. So I was forced to take the test. Not really last minute. I think I had extra time. I think I gave myself a little bit of time that in case I failed, that I would be able to retake it. I don't remember, honestly. But you should, honestly, if you can take extra time off to study, then I would recommend you do that, because it's definitely something that I would recommend. That being said, what do you do the second time you take your test? You've gone through all of this. You went through all the stages of grief. You got help. You talked to people. You went to your therapy sessions, whether they're professionals or your friends or your family. You got emotional support, and then you took a different route with your studying. You bought a book, a different book, test prep book. Maybe you spent thousands of dollars on a tutor or a program. You flew out to another state to sit your ass in a library to just study. And now you get to the point where you're actually improving your score, and you've taken 2, 3 practice tests and you've passed all of them. And now, by the advice of your tutor, your professionals, it's been deemed that if you take the test now, you will likely pass. So what do? You go ahead and you schedule your exam. Maybe you schedule your exam already, and you're just kind of in the process of, well, now I just got to wait, and I'm going to take more. Maybe you don't take more practice tests because you're going to freak yourself out, so you just study and try to retain the information more. What do you do the week before or the month before your exam? Well, it's going to be the most important exam of your life, as usual. Sometimes I try my best to relax at that point, because especially a week before your exam, like, there's not a whole lot you're going to do that's going to make your score better. For example, when I was taking step 2, the week before my exam, yeah, I went through some flashcards here and there, but I was so stressed out. I was so stressed out that I couldn't even sit down and study and answer questions. I did some questions, but my mind was going like 100 miles a minute, just spinning around and around. I remember my dad would drive me to Target, and we would go to the like not the cafeteria section, but like where they have Pizza Hut Express and I don't know what else they have, but they have these little restaurant areas, and this is before COVID, so there was no like shutting down of anything. I would just go to Target. I would listen to my lectures. I would walk around. I would try to get my steps in, try to burn some calories, and just try to like mentally, like go through the material with my phone. I used Anki. Anki is a really good flashcard service. I think on the phone you kind of have to pay for the app, but it's definitely worth it if you can get it. 100% worth it. It's also free on the computer. Last I checked, because I haven't used Enki in a long time, but it's definitely something that's worth it because they don't even. It's not like a regular like Quizlet, like where you go through the flashcard and then you can look at it again anytime you want. It's spaced time, so it's spaced memory retention. So you'll go through the flashcard on your Enki app, and you'll get a question wrong. They'll give it to you again and again until you get it right. And then what they'll do is they'll ask you that question again when you study, but they'll ask it to you like a day or two later. And then when you get that question right the second time or the third time or the fourth time, then you really retain it. And then the more times you get the question right, the longer and longer farther away that they will give you that question in the Anki flashcards. I'm sure if you went to medical school or you failed step 1, you already know what Anki is because everybody talks about it. But it's also good for MCAT studying and whatever studying you are doing. Even if you're not in medical school, Anki is very good as a study tool. So anyway, I used Anki a lot the week before. Even during my, year that I took off, the gap year of studying, I would go on Anki every now and then to try to retain the material. It's a lot of material. You're going through an entire textbook of medical school in one set of flashcards, which is a lot of material. So, you just kind of have to relax the week before your exam. You've gone through the flashcards, you've read all the materials, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. Maybe there was a section you didn't get to yet, but there was just so much material already. You're just going to skim through that section, and it's okay to skim. It's okay to go through things really fast and just try to, maybe you won't retain all the information, but that's okay because there's a lot of information to retain. And the chances of you getting asked that one question on line 30 of page 573, maybe it's not that high that you get asked that question. Maybe it's so oddly specific that you're just not going to see that question on the exam. So it's about high yield questions, high yield concepts. Understand one concept and you will be able to answer 50 questions that ask that same question, that same concept, right? Don't just try memorizing the answer to this question, worded this way is this. The answer to question 59 of UWorld is B or C, because you're only going to retain that question specifically. You have to study concepts. So when you get the question wrong, read the explanation. And don't just read it. Like, don't blindly look at words. Understand, comprehend what they are trying to tell you. That is so important. So that is what I ended up doing. And then the exam is just all history, it's all history from there. I mean, you can't control what happens on test day. Just do your best, think, make educated guesses, but pace yourself, okay? Remember that the morning of or the day before, eat healthy. It's still important to exercise. It's still good to eat a banana or an apple or fruit or some vegetables, whatever. Try to get some sort of healthy fiber in your diet. And then try to go to the gym. Going to the gym is studying, I hope you know. It is a form of studying because you're actually being productive with your brain. You are taking a mental break from studying when you go to the gym. You're exercising. You're increasing your HDLs, right? The good cholesterol. Remember, the good cholesterol is good. You increase your HDL levels when you exercise. Cardiovascular exercise is so important. It's going to keep your heart moving, it's going to keep your brain pumping, it's going to reduce your risk of adverse cardiovascular disease. And so, doing that, try to do it every day if you could, honestly. I tried to exercise every day when I was studying. It is so important. Look out for your health. That's my advice. That's what I ended up doing, and that's how I passed step 1 the second time I took it. And then after that, I never failed another step after that. I passed all the steps the first time using the same concepts of wellness, happiness, eating a healthy diet, exercising. Yeah, I did gain weight when I was studying because it was so stressful. It's very hard to not gain weight when you're studying. But I ended up shedding some of that weight off after a while, and you just kind of have to keep at it. Stay the course. Try not to give up. That's my advice, because I definitely highly contemplated giving up, quitting, and moving on with my life, doing something else. I mean, heck, I even looked at job opportunities out there, like phlebotomy, like, is there anything I can do after my exam to, like, I'm not doing a whole lot before I do clinical rotations, so I might as well do something, And the other thing is, sometimes they'll ask you, like, in your interviews, like, oh, what did you do during this time off? It's okay to say you studied. You don't have to go out of your way to go on some sort of mission trip to Africa and paint a hospital or volunteer abroad. You don't have to do that. You are taking a year off to study and to focus on yourself. It's okay to talk about that. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're taking your test. You're studying for your exam. Don't try to distract yourself with other things in your life. You got to ask yourself, do you really want to be a doctor? How badly do you want it? Because here you are, you failed, you're in a situation where you're in a bad place, and you could just walk away and try to find a way to pay off your debt, your student loans, or you can go for it. You can try to pass the exam. You can try your best to do what you can. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to say it's not easy. It's okay to cry. It's okay to seek help. All of that is okay. So, that is my advice to you. I hope you take it to heart. If you have any questions at all, you can always send me a message. I think YouTube lets you send people messages, right? I'll try to find a way. I think you can send a message to me on YouTube. Comment down below if you can't. I think that there is a way to communicate with the content creators out there. I got to look into it because I haven't, admittedly, I haven't done YouTube in a long time. I'm still just trying to get back into the thick of it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you're struggling out there, if you're having a hard time, reach out, seek help, and best of luck.